Hi, hello, and welcome to the first episode, the first chapter of the WUMAO Show. And I welcome all the viewers and, the panel here today. We're going to be addressing what is a WUMAO. The first thing that I want to do today is, give you guys an opportunity to introduce yourselves to my audience and other audiences that we're streaming to. So why don't we start with seniority? Huh? Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, your channel, and what brought you to the WuMao Show?
Did you just call me old? I think you just called me old.
No, I said that you've been posting videos longer than
bastard.
most of us.
Yeah. Hi, guys. My name's Matt. This is actually going out to my new channel, which is just starting out, called Nuance. My previous channel is the bigger one, called the Jiao Nation. Ideally, Jiao Nation is about traveling around the world and telling stories about the journey of life and culture and food and things along the way. But after the pandemic, I started talking about politics and more maybe volatile topics. And it seemed like my opinions were informed by my journey, and so people found them interesting. And so but there was a weird problem because the travel channel was sort of the audience and was conflicting with the audience that enjoyed the political discussion. So I decided to separate them, basically. And so now I have a channel called Nuance, and I'm just sort of talking about, there's a lot to talk about with regards to the relationships between China and different parts of the world and the West and the East. And so I'm trying to shed light on those things with a more gray area perspective instead of so much black and white. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I gotta say, I love the name of that new channel, Nuance. It's like one of those things that you go like, yes, that's exactly what the word should have been.
Yeah.
All right.
The world needs more nuance.
Yep. All right, moving on to Mr. Alex.
Hey. Okay. Hey. If you haven't seen me before, my name is Alex. Not Alex Absolute. That's just my channel name, obviously. I'm a British guy. I've lived here in Wenzhou for I guess coming up for 8 years now. My channel is, I don't know, it was kind of all over the place. I started off just making videos 2, maybe 3 years ago. I've taught myself everything from the beautiful thing from here on YouTube. I kind of dilly-dallied around with a whole different kind of like I didn't really niche down so much. Now I kind of make videos about my life and my experiences here in China. It's kind of cliche China stuff, but I think I do a lot of different things to a lot of other people, I guess, and it's just nice to go out and explore. I generally like making films. I'm more into non-China related content. I'm a China content creator who's more into non-China content related stuff. I'd say 90% of stuff I watch is about cinematography and editing stuff in After Effects. But yeah, I'm kind of a gobby, outspoken kind of guy. I'm not afraid to speak my mind. If you haven't seen me before, come check me out.
Sure. I mean, every time that we are in these WeChat groups and I have a question that's technical about editing or something like that, Alex is the person that I go to. A lot of experience and quite good at what he does. All right. And the fourth person here on the panel is Mr. Noel. Noel, please let us know about you.
Hey, Fernando. Thank you for having me on your show. It's a pleasure. My name is Noel and my channel is Cowbell Wings. Again, it's a great pleasure to be on this show together with Matt from Jiao Nation, Alex from Alex Absolute. So what I do is that I'm a Singaporean living in Shenzhen now, and I've been in Hong Kong and China since 2005. I make scale models as my primary objective, and I have a bit of a voice in the ongoings about China and Hong Kong ever since the Hong Kong protest in 2014, and then the ones in 2018, got me really involved. And once I ventured into the rabbit hole, I found the guys that I call the Band of Brothers on YouTube, speaking the truths and the facts about China. And I thought I would, finally lend my voice to be heard. And I enjoy being on shows like this, especially given the opportunity to be on things like, of course, China's interviews and, the recent talk about the 2 sessions. So yeah, it's great to be on you guys and hope I can put some input on that is constructive and insightful.
All right. So if you guys are watching me in other people's channels, since we're streaming to everybody, my channel is FerMuBe. I started initially talking about teaching in China, but I saw that I was actually quite limited. And afterwards, there was something interesting that took place. I was kind of like brought to talk about China as a country, and as you say, Matt, the nuances of living in China. When I started reacting to things that I was seeing on the internet, I was like, this is not so. I felt the need to kind of like correct the narrative. So my channel changed to the extent that I ended up changing the name of the channel to just my name. For those of you who have no idea how to pronounce it, it's Spanish, so it's FerMuBe. Yeah, no, FerMuBe or stuff like that. Yeah.
I thought
there
it
you
was
go.
for
Okay.
moves.
For moves.
It's moves the short version for man boobs. So I thought it was for moves.
Oh, hey
Okay,
now.
come on.
Was that how
Hey now.
All right. Let's get a little bit into what we wanted to talk about. We are talking about, well, what is exactly a WuMao? One of the reasons why I created this show, the WuMao Show, I met with Daniel Dumbrill and Jerry Gray and well, Noel as well about a week ago, I think, and we were just talking about, well, what we do and why we do it. And when we were having a beer at Daniel's pub, we basically, I said like, well, we should have the WuMao Show. And that's basically what it was. And for a week, it just started in my head, like, maybe we should actually do something like that. So I threw it in one of the WeChat groups and said, like, hey, who wants in? And here we are, basically a day later.
Yeah, that was quick, man.
Yeah, no messing around.
So no, thank you first of all for showing up, for being here, for believing in this idea and wanted to join. So first of all, what do you guys understand as a WuMao, and how do you feel like you are? Do you get offended? Do you feel that it affects you when somebody calls you a WuMao? So let's start with the first question. Who would like to go first?
Well, I don't think I'm an WuMao. I mean, the definition in itself is sort of it. You know, it's a label like many labels out there, and I find that if you start labeling people, it gets carried away with it. I think the original meaning of it is actually, I think there's definitely people out there that are working for the government, that are in the chat rooms, that are, you know, bolstering certain opinions and trying to put down people with another type of opinion. I think that they exist, but I certainly I've actually talked to a lot of WuMaos who I thought were WuMaos, because, you know, what's funny is I came from a bit of a right wing community on YouTube. Like a lot of my friends considered so many people WuMao. Oh, don't talk to that guy, he's an WuMao. Oh, don't talk to that person, that's an WuMao. And then when I started to kind of free myself from the bonds of one side or the other, I sort of opened up to some of the people who I thought were WuMaos, and like ended up getting their WeChat and ended up talking about their lives, and then ended up like really starting to know these people. And I'm like, you're just a passionate person that has, you know, a very strong opinion and feels like they're being somewhat castigated in a way. So I'm sure that there's probably these people out there. I mean, it seems like the news has kind of labeled a certain group of people that work in the Great Wall that we're bridging over. But I've actually reached out to some and found that they're not, and so I don't think I am. So if they're not, then I'm not.
All right. Okay, so on to Alex. What do you understand as a WuMao? Do you think it's a real thing? Does it exist?
I mean, for sure, there's people which are ultra nationalist and like will definitely pick at the most ridiculous things sometimes. Like, for example, like just to give an example, like when I first started, like maybe 2 years ago, the video is still on my channel. You can go back and see it. A video I made that I posted. It was originally a video that I made my friend, one of my best friends here, after many years, decided he and his wife were going to move back to America. So I'd made a video and I'd kind of interviewed all of our closest circle of friends and put footage together of all of our many cycling trips and like all these like fun times we'd had basically. And I thought, you know what, I'll share it. I thought I quite liked it at the time. It's like compared to my editing now, it's not fantastic, but at the time I was pretty proud with it, and I was like, you know what, I'll share it. It's quite cool because then his family can see it and blah blah blah. And for the thumbnail, I used a picture of him, and it was just one that had him with a funny expression on, stood next to a waxwork of Chairman Mao, right? And we all know Chairman Mao. He's like the big everybody. He's quite a big deal for Chinese people. And I don't need to tell you that, but
Really?
Anyway,
Wow.
yeah, go figure. But anyway, so he'd been stood next to this waxwork of Chairman Mao, and there was at least 5 people which got really, really antsy about it. And we're like sharing links. That's not a good likeness. You shouldn't be doing that to China. This is what this is a good likeness. And share a link to like a picture of Chairman Mao, for example. And I was like, dudes, this was taken in China. This is the Chinese Madame Tussauds. Those were made by Chinese people. So if you're saying it's not good enough, well, it's in China. It's not somewhere else. I just thought it was a silly, small, insignificant detail. But I guess for those kind of people that I would consider what are WuMaos, it was a bit too far. And I think there are, but I don't think they get paid. Like the whole premise of the WuMao is they get WuMao for every time they post one of these comments, and that's why they post loads of comments. Now, you'd make no money. Like you'd really make no money. I don't think anybody here would do it. I think it's just nationalist people that go on the internet and maybe they don't have the full command of English, and they miss a lot of it. A lot of stuff comes from miscommunications. And stuff, and then I guess you know how it is, the safety of the internet. It's the same for both sides. You have the opposite side. Now I don't like there's so, like Matt said, there's so many terms but we don't have a term for the, like we have people we get called shills, right? We get the WuMaos, but what are the other side? What are the other side? I mean, if anybody can knock this up in the comments, is it the Karens? Do we call them the Karens? Do we get China and Karen and put it together and call them the Charens? I don't know. Like, it seems like everybody needs to have a name, and then we can all get tattoos and shirts and stuff, right?
Charon, I like that. That sounds interesting. Work on it.
Hey, I wanted to ask Noel. Sorry, Matt, do you have a question? Or?
No, go for it, buddy.
Okay, I wanted to go for Noel because I know that your channel is very much work oriented, right?
Yes.
Have you ever been called a WuMao? What brought you to the group, the WuMao Show?
Well, building on to what Alex Absolute just mentioned about being paid 50 cents for every good comment that you put in about the Chinese government. So yeah, I was actually in Daniel's pub with you the other day, and I was asking the question exactly what is the WuMao. So exactly what Alex explained is the terminology given to WuMao, that if you actually put in a good comment, you get 50 cents paid. Now, I think, first of all, this is rather comical, and surely it is the brainchild of someone who was trying to maybe putting down people who are speaking truths or rather pro-China, that you are only paid as little as 50 cents. That's sort of a vibe. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I believe this whole thing is rather comical to me. And, I've not been called that so far, although I have been, asked, right, why are you so pro-China? Let me give you a simple example. So one of my internet Facebook friends, right, as you know, but actually went hiking with the guy. So I saw him firsthand, and that's the only time I met the guy. So we went on to be Facebook friends. And recently he was putting up some news articles about China doing the anal swab on foreigners, and he was like sensationalizing the whole article, saying that this is what China does to you, trying to demeanor you. But I was asking him, why don't you look into more reports about exactly what constitutes this particular form of testing, right? But he was having none of that. He was thinking that this is something that China
Right.
does to actually humiliate foreign people. But I don't think that's the case. From what I'm reading, it was only done on certain particular cases. And yeah, I think when I was trying to ask him questions rather than stuff a statement down his throat, I was being asked, why am I being so pro-China, right? So this is what we get when we are trying to be rational and trying to seek more facts and truths, even against with the people who are not agreeing with us, right? For me, I never try to push a statement or fact down anybody else's belief, but rather I would try to bring the topic up in a question form and see if that person can actually see more nuances of the particular scenario versus what he or she has been ingrained based on that particular headline or article. So yeah, so coming back, I have not been called WuMao yet, and I don't think what I'm doing is WuMao. But even though if I'm called one, it's a very comical thing. I'll just take it like a stride, so it's no problem. I love comedy, so yeah, that's my take.
All right. Basically, I want to comment on some of the things that Alex and Noel said, but one of the things that I have to say is that I first interacted with Noel when you were doing when you were a moderator for Daniel Dombrill and who was the other person? Bay Area 145, was it?
Yeah.
And I found your approach to moderating extremely interesting.
Oh, thank you.
Remember that exchange we talked about, like, well, we let people express what they want to say and we just want to learn from each other, and I thought that was a very interesting thing. Now onto what Alex mentioned is, I think that, look, there's probably going to be an army that's not necessarily being paid 50 cents, but there's going to be people in the government who are out there kind of like checking and pushing
censors.
Yes, there's got to be somebody looking at what's going on, what's being said somewhere. I don't think that's doesn't exist. I do think that exists. Now, the idea that calling them 50 cents is, as you mentioned, is you're trying to say your opinion is cheap. Your words are cheap. Whatever thing that you have to say to defend your country is just cheap. And to me, that's just basically what it is. It's because also you were talking about nationalists, Alex, and I don't know if nationalist is the correct word. Of course, there are nationalists in China, I'm sure, but I like to think that there are a lot of people that are just patriots. They feel hurt when they see the stuff that they see out there, and they take it. I mean, think about me. I mean, why am I putting this show? Why did I change what I did in my channel, which was just teaching, to just start talking to people about how things really are here? I feel like it's a sense of unfairness. So I think that a lot of the people that are being called WuMao could just be people that are hurt and offended. They're Chinese people abroad or even here using VPNs to watch, and they're just simply offended. That's how I feel. Everybody is under that blanket on WuMaos, but a lot of people wonder, how do we end up Westerners being WuMaos? So let me get to the next topic. Nobody here has ever gotten paid to say positive things about China. Is that right?
Not yet.
No. Yeah, who's somebody willing? I mean, listen. That was a joke. The fact is that we have done these trips. That's been a bone of contention for the people that argue against us. Is that we've gone on some trips that have been paid for by agencies that are, you know, tangentially tied to the travel agencies that are tied to the government authority. Just, I think in a lot of cases, just like any company has to be registered with the government and an LLC, or, you know, has to abide by certain regulations and laws, and you know, they want us to go to different places. Now, we weren't ever paid to say something. They put us in front of a place and they said, "What do you think?" And so we say what we think, and so sometimes those things can be construed. But no, I've never been. Yeah, is Noel gone? Noel gone?
Yeah, I was just
But,
texting him
No,
to
I'm
see
here.
if
I'm
he's
just
gonna be back.
fixing my camera.
Oh,
Okay,
right.
Okay, it's a little dark.
I think it's just
It's a little
jealousy.
dark.
Like,
Yeah, the light failed. Yeah,
turn
Alex.
down the lights. I think it's just jealousy. I mean, most of these people that go around with bad opinions, it's just simple jealousy. Because I mean, who's gonna organize a tour for you to go around? What are they gonna do? Organize a bunch of places for you to go around and shit on? Oh, look, here's another place you can moan about, and oh, look at that guy, he looks overweight. Maybe you can moan about that. Like they just don't have that option, do they? So I guess they've got to pick.
Hey, can I kick something to the audience here and see what they think?
Yeah.
I got approached today by a CGTN representative that wanted to take me to a few parts of coastal China, and they wanted to take me on a trip about 15 days, and it was going to be an all expenses paid thing at the beginning of April. And I think I'm going to do it. I mean, it's a really interesting trip to a bunch of different places, and it involves checking some things out with an interesting team. And I was thinking, huh?
Anti-flag, this guy?
Anti-flag? What?
It's his WeChat name.
Oh, I don't know. No, I don't think so. No, maybe somebody else. But I was thinking that I might actually open up and incorporate that into a vlog, and actually, like, step by step, like not just, hey, I'm on this trip, but like literally say, these are some messages. This company contacted me. We're building this process, and that way, like a completely transparent, like, this is how it works here in China. They invite you to go on a trip if they want to show what they have to offer, and have your audience kind of check it out. And so I say yes, and they tell me they're going to pay some of the expenses, and it might be a way to be transparent in one instance and show, maybe swing some of those people, because I think a lot of people, the idea behind a WuMao is just like what Noel was saying, is that you're just being objective. You're just asking questions. And in the anti-China crowd, you're not allowed to do that. If you do that, you are an WuMao. You're not allowed to take trips, because if you do, you're a shill. You're not allowed to do things that outside China would be fine, because inside China, you're a label, And so I thought maybe by projecting total transparency in a trip that's upcoming, it might be an interesting way to, I don't know, either make more people more angry or swing some people. I don't know. Let me know what you think.
I wanted to ask a question to the panel. How do you guys feel about the things like people like CGTN and certain personalities that are now going onto Western social media and having a presence and, well, defending their country out of passion or out of duty? I don't know. Do you see that in a positive light? Is it controversial?
No,
I'll take that one.
I don't know. I don't see it as the internet's supposed to be there for everybody to do. That's the whole purpose of the internet, right? So just give everybody a voice. The thing is, if you don't like something that somebody else is saying, and you've chosen to go on the internet, you can just click on the browser tab at the top, and you can type in a different website address, or you can turn the video off, or you can do whatever, and you can go somewhere else. It's the same as in a WeChat group. You can just use that finger and keep on scrolling. I just don't, honestly, I like the last year, I just don't know what has happened. Like, I can remember the good old days when everybody was in one group chat together, and we were like, everybody had slightly different opinions, but everybody kind of understood, and everybody got along. And now it's turned into this, like, everybody has to get all up and like people's grills, and then you see a lot of people chatting in group chats that, like, it's that classic thing where the internet gives you a little bit of freedom, because if you said it to someone in real life, they'd probably bang you out. You know, like there's a lot of little boys that kind of strut their thing and they say their pieces, and you're like, it just like, some of it just makes me cringe so hard. Like, I just can't be, I don't have enough time in my day for that kind of hate. I just kind of like, if it doesn't affect my immediate life, I honestly, I just don't care. And it sounds selfish, but I just don't really care. Like,
Jayo to that.
I make videos that I like, and I do things that I like. And if there's idiots about, I either, you know, remove myself from the situation or just ignore them.
I guess I wanted to share with the group and the viewers here kind of like the way that I handle, for example, comments in my videos. If you've been to any of my videos and you've seen my comment section, pretty much everybody gets a heart, like a like, because basically the person gets a message that says, hey, this content creator liked your comment. Now, the only people who don't get a heart are those who offend me. They're either cursing or they're just saying something that I've said in my video or in multiple occasions that that's not true. For example, when people call me a WuMao, I'm not getting paid to say what I say. I'm not getting paid to do what I do. So you're calling me basically a liar. That person doesn't get a heart. Now, if somebody says something that I agree with, then I go with the thumbs up. Somebody has a question, then I'll engage with people. I try to be as engaged as possible in my comment section. I don't know if that's a strategy for you guys, but for me, it's very important. How do you react to, well, when people start attacking you for the kind of message that you guys are putting out? Matt, for example.
I you know, as a YouTuber, you start to develop a thick skin, you know. You know, my travel content where I'm just cycling around the world on a bike, eating cool food and talking to interesting people never got much grief, you know. But as soon as you start stating your opinion and people realize that you actually have some sort of an like, it's so funny. Like, you have like, wait. You like the thing I don't like? Oh, we're gonna have some trouble here. You know? And then all of a sudden you got some friends turning on you, and you're like, "Ooh, this hurts a little bit." And then over time, you start to develop a thicker skin against it. But I tell you what does work is like what Alex was saying, and just unplugging from time to time. I did that for a week, and I was just like, just didn't answer anything, just unplugged, didn't. And it just allowed me to deep breath. And I think that's was a really, really great method.
Noel, how do you handle, comments and replies when you are expressing your opinion in your videos or other people's videos? Does it affect you? Does it hurt you? Does it?
All right. So this one is actually kind of, I can relate to it personally because I own my business doing scale models. And of course, there are other competing brands in the market. And, you know, I'm just doing my own thing from my own perspective. Right? I'm just doing my own thing because what I'm doing, believe it or not, is not in direct competition with what's in the competition, what's in the market, right? So I'm just doing my own thing. But of course, when I emerge and I offer something different, I wouldn't say better, I would just say different, right? And when people who are in the industry take notice and sense that it's a threat, then somehow or other I get comments that is detrimental to what I'm doing. So I can feel it, especially when you mentioned about CGTN now reaching out in an English format to the world. So since this topic is about China, WuMao and stuff, and not about me, I'm going to just relate this in a sense that when I look at CGTN, when I look at the amount of fake news and falsehoods that is being brought upon China, I believe CGTN's attempt to try to clear the air with factual analysis is exactly what I'm doing when I am handling these very strange attacks regarding what I'm doing that is based on falsehoods and untruths. So I'm just stating what I show factual data, I show pictorial proofs about what these people are saying are not correct. I mean, they can say that, you know, my stuff is not up to par to a certain quality. Yes, that is all subjective. But when you start to say that something is not 10 centimeters long and it's only 5 centimeters, and I can show you that it's 10 centimeters, then that's where I'm aiming at, right? So I think, you know, what CGTN is doing is putting forth exactly the truths that debunks all the untruths. Things like the Xinjiang genocide and stuff like that. I mean, we hear this almost every day, and somehow it's being magnified even in today's context. I even shared with you guys another Facebook post from a friend that is, you know, deliberately showcasing that China has attempts and intents on genocide all this while. Now, step back and I think to myself, you know, if this person reads this particular article, he must surely agree with it for him to actually post it onto his public wall to let other people know about it, right? Versus, you know, thinking about it and thinking that maybe, do I know for sure that this is what's happening? If I don't know for sure what's happening, I shouldn't be posting stuff, because as we know, you know, people post and repost without even thinking, and then that's how we get falsehood and misinformation that's spreading like wildfire. And we here are just little firemen trying to put out little fires that we, you know, might just overwhelm us at the end of the day. So yeah, if people are you know, using some negativity towards me in terms of comments, yeah, I will be, you know, taking it personally. I will do my best to respond in a very calm, polite manner that does not involve any detrimental words or being rude or calling names. But somehow, you know, if the other side takes it as something that's attack towards them, then I can't do anything. All I'm doing is I'm stating facts. I'm presenting myself in a nice and logical, rational manner. So I hope that the other side will be able to read and also digest and you know, respond in a similar way.
All right. Guys, I want to bridge a little bit of the comments right here and tell you a little bit about what this WuMaO show is
just a minute.
about.
Can I just add my 2 cents about this, because I think I contrast like everybody else here. So I was just laughing then because where Noel was saying he doesn't call names. I was like, yeah,
Alex likes to call names.
For me, I either go like one or two ways. It's like two polar opposites. Because like I always, half the time I'm like, well, you know, I'm a father. I've got 2 sons. I was like, I deal with children all the time. I don't need to deal with like stupid opinions, and I'll just be like,
is that why your favorite word is Muppet? Muppet? I love that.
Muppet,
I love your use of Muppet.
Yeah, Muppet's a great one. But then other times, like especially when people make stupid comments, it's just like, ooh, yeah, game on. And I'm pretty good at trolling. I'm pretty good at winding people up. Like if there's one thing I know how to do, it's push people's buttons, and I do that with a lot of the people in the comment sections. Like just make either ridiculous comments or just find, you know, you can just find that one thing which really gets them. There's nothing like insinuating something about their mother as well. But
I can't do that.
I've got that the one guy, Blackjack. I love finding this guy up there, and he keeps coming back, and I'm like, this is just so much fun. I guess he'll probably be watching. Hi, I saw you.
That's probably here.
If you're watching, miss you. But yeah, I just find it funny. Sometimes I wake up and I'll just be like, oh, great. Game on. It's just fun because like some of these people are just so easy to wind up. It's insane. And then like I've had a few times where I have slipped. Like that one guy, Cool in Japan. He like posted on a video like China's not beautiful and there's no birds. It's like there's no birds ever. Like wonder where you got that from. So I went out at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I went on a bird
expedition.
Yeah, I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, rode my bike in the pitch black, so went out there birding with a 70 to 200 mil lens. I actually got some all right footage. It's incredibly hard to shoot wildlife, by the way. But yeah, I made a video about it. And the other great thing as well, as top tip, is pin people. I can't remember which one of the Saturday Let's Talk China team, maybe Guelo, but someone advised me just pin them, and if you get a bad comment, pin them at the top of your comments section.
Pin it to the
let
top.
Everybody else and then let everybody else take them apart, because it's pretty fun like that. You can pin silly comments, and you get like, sometimes I get comments and I'm not sure if they're one way or the other, and I have to look. And there was one guy, I think his name's like ZZTOP or ZZ10P. And a couple of times he's made comments, and I thought, "Ooh, is this rude? Is this something I need to bite back at?" Like, and then I've read previous comments from him, and it's like wishing like a happy Christmas, and I'm like, I am so confused right now. I just don't get this. So some of those comments I just won't respond to, because I don't want to be necessarily harsh or wind someone up that's trying to be nice and doesn't have a full command of the English language, because then I feel like a complete asshole. But yeah, it's a tough one. It's sometimes fun though. It is fun.
Okay, I wanna do what I wanted to do just now. I wanted to let you guys know what this show is about. This is going to be a weekly show. We are a group of it's a growing number, already 11 people who feel like we would like to say something about things here in China. So the WuMaO Show is going to be just people who have a different opinion about China, and we're going to talk about different kinds of things. So just keep this hashtag, the WuMaO Show, close, because we're going to be talking about different things. Some of the topics that are on top of my head are, I want to talk, for example, about religion in China, and start little by little demystifying things that are said out there in the news, for example, in media. I want to talk about homosexuality in China. I want to talk about we are going to be bringing different guests every single time based on interest or based on availability. So it's not always going to be us four. This is basically kind of like my baby. So I'll probably be here every Wednesday. But different people will be coming in here, so keep this show in mind. Now, as I bridge to the next section, this is one of the people that is in this group, and he wanted to share something with us, so I'm going to bring him into the conversation right now. He is a celebrity, an actual celebrity, and he wanted to share something before we go into the other topic. So let me bring in Mr. Haza.
Hey, Haza.
Wow. When you
Good day.
said celebrity, I thought you had someone else lined up. I didn't think you were talking about me.
That's what your Weibo says, no?
Oh, yeah. That's what Weibo said. I don't know. Yeah, I was excited when you said you've got a celebrity coming up. I was thinking, who might it be? I'm looking forward to this, and then I popped up on the screen. What a disappointment!
All right, so the next section is, we want to talk about, well, some of those perhaps attacks that we have experienced, that we have had because of, well, the message that we have for our viewers and the world. And you've had a very recent and serious experience. So why don't you share, well, there's something that you want to talk about. So let us know what happened and what it means to you and how you've dealt with it.
Well, it's been I mean, wow. I mean, 2020 felt like 5 years in 1 year, because it was a crazy year. So I came back to China from Australia in early February, just when the COVID-19 outbreak was starting to get serious locally here in China. And at that time, most of my friends and family back home were concerned about me. So most of the messages that I was receiving from them, they were all positive and just checking up on me, making sure I was okay. Because before February 2020, I think most of the people around me were just interested in what I was doing in China. They weren't upset about what I was doing. They weren't upset about me being here. You know, they didn't have any animosity at all for me working here in China for a television station. But slowly, after February 2020, things started to change. And the saddest thing that happened to me personally was a couple of my family members having to deactivate their Facebook accounts because a lot of people tried to contact me directly and, you know, upset me via email. I had a couple of random phone calls, private messages on certain social networking platforms, and I think they kind of got the idea that I'm not easily upset, or at least I can pretend to be, you know, not fazed by hate comments and things like that. So instead of targeting me, they targeted my family, which was really upsetting for me. And this entire time, I've just been an expat here working in China. And it just so happens that I work as a television presenter for a Chinese television station. And all of a sudden, that's become a big problem for a lot of people. And some of the comments that I've received recently have really upset me, including people who have made comments publicly on YouTube about me, but also people who have emailed me and sent me private messages threatening me and you know, telling me that they're going to report me to Australian intelligence agencies and that I'm a traitor, and that as soon as I go home, next time I'm able to go home, I'll be arrested at the border. And, you know, most of the time I, you know, can think about it clearly and just think, you know, these are crazy people on the internet just saying whatever they feel like saying. But sometimes it really does get to you because you worry, you know. I honestly, I haven't done anything illegal. I haven't done anything wrong. But for some reason, people have just given me the title of shill. I mean, that's why, you know, when I heard this concept for the WuMaO show, I was just like, you know, usually people, I don't think anyone has ever called me a WuMaO. Actually, if someone called me a WuMaO, I'd be offended because, I mean, if I was only being paid WuMaO for the work that I do, I mean, come on, I think I've worked hard enough to earn more than WuMaO.
You know, Fernando, you should have called this the Shill Show. It rolls off the tongue, the Shill Show.
You know,
The shill show. No, okay. One of the reasons why I chose the WuMaO show.
The worst is traitor. Traitor. I hate the word traitor. And recently I've been called that many times. And I feel the reason, sorry if I'm taking up too much time by explaining myself here, but the reason why I really get upset when people call me a traitor is because going back 10 years ago, when I first started my journey here in China, Australia was really pushing for people to engage in China, to learn Chinese, to study Chinese, to, you know, establish cooperation with China. And I feel like I followed the advice of what people were telling me to do, you know, what was good for our country. And I found a little bit of success in China. And then since February 2020, slowly but surely, I somehow turned into a traitor. For a lot of people, but not all people.
That's a very interesting question that I asked myself, and I've thought about even making videos about this. When did it become okay, mainstream, normal to hate China? For years and years and years, people have been trying, as you just mentioned it, to come to China, to work with China, to cooperate with China, because it's beneficial. It's a win-win relationship for the businesses, for the governments, right? But something changed.
Trump. It was Trump, I think. I think it was
Mm.
2016, his run up. You know, he was promoting that message. You know, he was saying that
Exactly.
you know, everything with Trump was blaming. You know, he had to find something. It was the Mexicans, it was immigrants, it was China's taking your jobs. It's, you know, all of these kind of things, and so it's an easy scapegoat. But you know, what's funny is it's like that's the result of what happens when you do start blaming. You know, it deflects where the energy where it needs to go. You know, and it went all to China.
Noel, how do you feel? I mean, let me ask you a question now. One of the reasons why I do what I do, and people say I fear too much or I think too much, I'm afraid that this will eventually lead to a war. That all this stuff that's being told out there, people are just swallowing it and swallowing it, and in the end, population will justify going to a war, and there'll be a mistake or something. You know what I mean? How do you feel about this kind of stuff, Noel? Ooh, I lost Noel's microphone. Okay.
I got my microphone.
I hear you, Noel.
All right. Okay. So I think we are living in a very volatile world right now. And I even posted to you this topic question before, asking, is the internet bringing us closer or dividing us further? And the fact is that in today's world, where we are so easily connected, I mean, you can even Twitter to the president of the United States, right? So it is that progression of how we interact and communicate that's bringing us so much closer that it's become also very volatile. Volatile in a sense that we have been speaking all this while about how the media, even social media, the chance of it spreading the falsehoods, incitement. I mean, you saw what happened at the Capitol on January 6th when Americans besieged onto the Capitol. Now, bring this back 20, 30 years ago, right? 30 years ago, 20 years ago, this wouldn't have happened because the transmission of messages wouldn't have been so closely knit, in my opinion, right? And I think we have learned, the world as a whole, not just us, we are just nobodies, but the people who are in control, the governments of the world, have seen that world wars, unless you are making the weapons and profiting from it, world wars does not help anybody. It only brings about anguish and pain and suffering. So I think for as long as we have gone from World War II, every country has been trying to avoid a hot war, another war. I think I am very, very grateful where I am when I read news about conflicts in Ukraine, Serbia, and all these things, and little pockets of wars happening. I feel so grateful that I'm actually here, not in those war zones. So I think we know enough that wars, is not going to help, but just going to create more suffering to the world that is trying to move to a better place. We're trying to seek out, trying to eliminate our own self-destruction of the world by cutting onto carbon emissions, trying to get a climate change to reverse its course. We have geniuses trying to bring us to see if there's any opportunity to inhabit Mars and stuff like that. So I think as a whole, we need to, I mean, not for us. I think the people in charge definitely needs to avoid war at all costs. I personally do not feel that war is going to be any solution to what's going on in the context right now.
Alex, from your perspective,
I just want to say something because sorry.
Go Haza.
Go ahead, man.
I just want to say, because I do interview a lot of diplomats, and probably the word that I hear the most frequently is multilateralism, from a lot of diplomats here in China, from countries, smaller countries, developing countries. Multilateralism is like a common theme, and that is something that I hear a lot from these diplomats. That we really need to, I think that's what Noel was trying to say, that we really just need to have a combined effort, and that is multilateralism.
Yes.
I wanted to go to Alex. This idea of multilateralism is really relevant, but it seems like certain governments are turning the page. How are you following, well, the stance that the UK is taking towards China? How does it affect you? How do you feel? Is it personal to you?
Sorry, what statement?
For example, when the British government takes a really aggressive stance on China, and a lot of those things are very debatable. Like, for example, the whole Xinjiang stuff. How does that make you feel?
Well, see, the thing is, like, I'm not a politics guy. I don't really follow politics. In fact, most of the stuff, like, shockingly enough, my mum was on about the Queen. I think it was yesterday, and I was like, "What's happened now?" Go figure. Turns out I went down a whole rabbit hole of finding out about what's happened with the royal family and blah, blah, blah. But a lot of political stuff just passes me by. I don't even know it's happened because I don't check the news. I don't go on the BBC website. I don't go on any of this stuff. So I don't actually see any of this happening. I focus on my immediate life. And for me, like, as soon as people start talking like real politics, I just tune out. Like, for me, even in England, politics is boring. And I know you got all these naysayers that are like, "Oh, you can't say that because politics does affect every part of your life." And it's like, well, I've done a pretty good job of dodging around it. Like, politics is just politics, and too many people get caught up with the fact that
I do. I do.
The government,
caught up.
governments have this stuff going on between them, but it's not a reflection of what the actual people think. The same as I don't think war is ever going to happen, because if you go back a long time ago when it was like World War II, it was a different time and age. There was like now there's so many nuclear bombs and all these terrible weapons that we've all made. Everybody's scared of each other, of what they're going to do. And there's so many different alliances. If one person steps in here, this person steps in there, and I just don't see there being a war. I see being a lot of talking and a lot of like stuff, because everybody now needs everybody for something. There's always something. A lot of countries rely on China for all of the cheap labor and the manufacturing. China relies on other countries. Everybody's kind of intrinsically tied together, and I just don't see it happening. When people like, the other thing is, if my government's like, I'm proud to be English, but I accept that there's a lot of stuff that England doesn't do great. The same as every country has stuff that it does do great and it doesn't do great. And a lot of things I don't get involved in anything that I don't know about. So when people start talking about Xinjiang or any of these things, if I don't know what's going on, I just don't have an opinion, because it's very easy to jump onto something somebody said or something you've seen on the news, and then ride that through and then find out, oh, you were wrong, and then you get in situations where you don't know who's actually like who is in the right and in the wrong, and it gets very confusing. So for me, if it doesn't affect my immediate life, I don't really care. I know it sounds bad, but I focus on, as self as it is, I focus on me, and I focus on things that affect my life. And a lot of it's just silly name calling. I think, like when I was younger, when I was growing up, people didn't get as offended as easily. And if people did get offended, they'd have a fight. Somebody punch somebody other else, and it'll be over and done with. There'd be none of this like name calling. I think as well, as a society, we've, in the last 10, 20 years, we've become a lot softer. And I get why, because like to quote Gary Vee, like Gary Vee was talking about how, you know, in America they've had 200, 300 years of like prosperity, and you know, as a culture and as a race or whatever, it will make you softer because, you know, you don't have to fight a lot of the fights that you used to have, and as stuff improves and your life improves, generally society becomes softer anyway. But it seems now I just like I've pretty much don't go on Facebook because there's just people get offended about them. Like there's nothing that people can't get offended about, and like it just, that's one of the reasons I like living in China is it is a lot more un-PC, but at the same time, people don't get caught up over the small details. They don't sweat the tiny details and spend their whole lives, you know, like upset about this or upset about that. You know, like it's, you know, somebody called me this or somebody called me that, and you're like, ugh, like does nobody remember the expression "sticks and stones break your bones, but words will never hurt me"? Like sometimes I just want to say to people, just stop being such a crybaby. Like, honestly, just get over it. Like, someone said something you don't like, that's cool. But now just go and do something you do like.
I don't know what you guys think, the other guys, but I'm really offended by Alex's diatribe here. I'm really butthurt about it.
That was
I like to build on to what I like to build on to what Alex just mentioned. You know, he mentioned something very important, is that what he doesn't know too much of, he doesn't speak too much of or write too much of about. So I think this is a very important trait that should be in more people, because, for example, the guys who are posting up the Xinjiang stuff and articles on their Facebook wall, I mean, do they actually know what's the real story? So it's more like keyboard warriors who are just thinking that they know stuff and they're posting up stuff. And not to mention, right, an important thing that I always bear in mind is that I don't know who is on the other side of that internet handle, that name, that nickname or whatever, right? It could be a 10-year-old boy, it could be a 60-year-old man. I have no idea. So when I'm engaging a reply, I always take that in mind, and I never try to think that person is actually on par with me in terms of maturity of the brain or stuff like that. So
you guys have so much more maturity than I do, and I say it openly. I mean, when I hear Hazard talking, how diplomatically he approaches the people who attack him, how well you, Matt, you go with a channel that's called Nuance, finding this middle place. I can't.
You should see who's in my chat right now. You should see who's in my chat. It's a lively group of people. Some of my
yes.
Really? I'm gonna have to go on and get my VPN on my phone.
Alex, buddy, there's a couple of Muppets in there.
Guys, I want to
wait, real quick. Everybody in my chat, Nuance, listen, I'm taking a different tack there. Everybody is welcome. You have to put yourself on the block list again. So there's I'm not trying to insult or castigate anybody. A fresh, clean slate in the Nuance chat section.
All right, guys, I want to ask the panel one more question, and perhaps Hazard, this is important. A lot of people say that WuMaos, because we do the content that we do, we can't speak negatively of China. Truth or not truth? Are you afraid that if you say something negative, something would happen to you? Who wants to go?
Is this question directed at me?
Go ahead,
the panel,
Hazard.
whoever wants to go, but Hazard, go.
Go ahead.
Actually, you know what? Because I host a couple of news programs, and we often report on stories about issues in China. So for some people here on YouTube, I feel like they've never actually seen the programs that I produce or that I host. And one key thing about China is the word reform. So whenever you hear the word reform in China, it means that it's an acknowledgement of an issue and that they are trying to fix it. And sometimes in China, the way that they express things is different to in the West. In the West, we might directly just say, you know, this is terrible, we need to fix it. But here in China, they will talk about reform, that things need to be reformed. And that, to me, is an acknowledgement of an issue and an acknowledgement that something needs improvement. And we also have programs where people call in live and complain about certain things, including the government. So I think that here in China, constructive criticism is okay. And sometimes people say things like, you know, why don't you talk about this? What would happen if you said this? And that...
We lost him.
He will be back.
We lost him in the middle of his talk. Okay, so but the question to you guys: do you feel that something would happen to you if you speak negatively of China, for example?
Well, I think if you are in somebody's house, you respect the rules in that person's house.
Mhm.
That's the way I see it, right?
Yeah.
And what would actually prompt me to specifically say something bad? Something bad must happen, right? And if something bad truly happens, that's a fact. And when I speak about it, I'm only speaking facts. Do you see what I'm saying? But if I were to just purposefully go and speak bad about something that is not bad, then I am doing something that, you know, Winston, Matt's a good friend before Winston would be doing, right? So I think, you know, as long as our conscience is clear, as long as we do our homework and know what we're talking about, even if we speak something that is not positive about the current state of things, those who are in a position to intellectually understand would have no problems. But of course, we'll have other people that would have their opinions that would probably change their mind whatsoever. So I think as long as we stay true to ourselves, what we are here to talk about, and we never stray from that, regardless of what it is, I think we're in a pretty good place.
Yeah.
Matt, you've been quiet for quite some time. You want to jump in?
I'm engaging in my comment section, so it's okay. I'm trying to juggle.
I'm trying to juggle. Comment section is great.
But yeah, it's nice. You know what? It's really nice.
Hi. Thanks for joining.
It's like yeah, Blackjack's in there. Blackjack's in there.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'm not giving up my passport, by the way. Not even if you offered me 2 million, maybe 4. But
you know, I think that China likes to find solutions to problems, right? And in a lot of cases, revolution and these big violent kind of responses to problems, they don't like those things. They would much rather find a diplomatic solution. And so I think probably you could probably say something in almost any country to get you kicked out if you were a guest here. You know, like you said, Noel, we are. I mean, I'm a guest here, so when I came here, I sort of learned the lay of the land. I learned, you know, how the systems work and what was allowed and what wasn't allowed, and you know, I live within some parameters. But I'll tell you what, I have recently, within the last 5 years, I've lived in China for I've been in China for 15 years, but lived here for 10. I've had some really, really in-depth, critical conversations on public forums, on WeChat, on places that like when I moved to China, I kind of like, oh, well, you can't say this, and you certainly can't talk about this topic. They'll, you know, and I found that like the boundaries are well within the range of anything that I think I would have an opinion on. And I've never really thought, wow, oh, okay, I guess I have actually felt more free than I thought I would here in this country. And that's been kind of cathartic, you know, like to know that, like, I have points of view and stuff, like Noel was saying, you know, I try to back it up with as much, I'm not going to go crazy accusatory. I'm just going to try to stay within the bounds of what I've seen factually. And I found that I can pretty much say what I want to say as long as I put it out there in a way that's well constructed and well thought out. So, yeah.
All right, guys, let's see if there's any questions or any comments that we would like to bring in. So any comments that you guys want to bring in? There was one very funny by Jerry, was asking Haza is his door had been kicked in.
Has what kicked in?
Yeah, that's why he was out.
For a while.
Sorry, my internet is terrible. I don't know how you guys have such great internet. I thought I had good internet, but obviously not.
We're WuMaos.
Uh,
we get the greatest speed.
we get the good internet because we're
What do you think
WuMaos.
we spend those WuMaos on? Come on now.
All right, guys. So we're coming to the turn of an hour. We said we wanted to keep it short and sweet. So, I want to give an opportunity for you guys to talk about what's going on with your channel, what's up this next week, and maybe introduce some of the topics that we could talk about that you would guys like to talk about in our the WuMao show for next week. So, why don't we start with Haza? What are you doing next week? What's up for work?
Next week, honestly, I don't know, because things can change at the blink of an eye. So if I'm around next week, I'll definitely join. And I would really like to just talk about being civil online. And because I think that we should act, the same way online as we do in real life, which is why even when I get the harshest of comments, I usually try to respond with politeness and respect, because I think that you should always treat other people how you wish to be treated. So I don't know, maybe we could have a topic where we just talk about tactics of how to deal with people that just constantly will harass you no matter what, and how to cope with that, because I think for some people it may even have mental health repercussions, which I think is a serious issue.
I would like to go to Noel, because Noel said something very interesting when we had his interview with, of course, China. Perhaps you guys haven't watched it. Remember that thing that you told me about the coffee, Noel? That would be a positive thing.
Yeah, I was just telling Fernando that how you react to a situation is all dependent on yourself, because I'm a coffee drinker and I like my coffee hot when I get it from Starbucks, for example. So I don't really like it when they actually pour the cold milk into my coffee and it's not hot anymore. Now, I could ask the person nicely and say that I want my coffee hot, and if you have made it not so hot, could you please reheat it up or something like that. But I could also being a customer, I could slam my foot down and say, "Hey, this is not right. I want my coffee hot. Are you stupid or something?" But that's the person, right? Whether it's this person or that person. So I think that was what I was telling Fernando about. And in terms of what Hazard just mentioned about speaking to everybody, how you would like to be spoken to, it's reminiscent to what I just saw a video the other day about a Zen master. I'm sure you guys may have seen this video. This very high Zen Shaolin master guy, and he's saying that whether you are speaking to a road sweeper or you are speaking to a rich man, your tone should be the same. It shouldn't be a case of you speaking down on the road sweeper and then kowtowing to the guy who rides a Mercedes-Benz and wears a Rolex, right? Then it shows that there's already a difference, and that's where in life things start to go wrong, because who knows if the road sweeper is actually the father of a very wealthy guy who likes to just sweep the road, right? So you may never know who is on the other side of that spectrum of that person once you only met the person initially. So I think this just being kind, just the underlying message of just being kind to the next person, just to be kind, that's it. For example, when I'm buying the ticket for the railway to go to Changping or to go to Dongguan to see Fernando, I go to the counter and I speak to the person, please, could I have this ticket to go to this place? But when I see other people in other windows, they're actually demanding that the teller gives them their ticket by barking out some instructions. So I think there's still a lot to learn if you really want to go to the level of being kind to everybody.
Alex, final thoughts.
Yeah, just to quickly follow on from what Noel said, I think that's 100% the best attitude to have. It's politeness costs nothing, and I've forgotten who said it, but somebody said like the way you speak to the people which are maybe lower down, like say you're out on the street and you see a street sweeper, for example, the way you address people that are not maybe on the same social standing as you speaks a lot about you as a person. And to quote Jim Carrey, which is a great one. When we die, everything that you have will just rot away and be nothing, and all that will be left is what was in your heart. And if all that was in your heart was bad videos on YouTube, just bad mouthing other people, that's going to be your legacy, isn't it? So, I mean, I troll people back that deserve trolling. I think that everybody should just get along. I think people should be more understanding. We should all, like, I don't know, sit in a field and hug. Like I think if you took China out of the equation, most of these people, like, we could all sit down and have a beer. I think if just say we'd all met up in a bar and nobody knew who each other was, I think everybody would get along a lot better than people would think. I think that people, it's just stuff on the internet, isn't it? Stuff on the internet is either gets blown out of hassle, or people get this, like, you know, the safety net, and they say stuff which whatever. So, like, we've gone back like a few minutes just to criticizing stuff on China. Like I said in the last video with Guelo, like, I don't drive very often in China, even though I have 2 cars, simply because I would be honest, the driving skill level here is not very good, and driving in China sucks. So you can say stuff like, I guess if you were just to rail and down on China all the time, unless you were really undercover, I don't know, you could get in trouble. If you pushed your luck, you would get in trouble, let's be honest. But if you pushed your luck, you're probably stupid, right? Because you wouldn't go around somebody's house and start shitting on their family, would you? Because they'd kick your ass. But yeah, for me, I just I guess we'll see what 2021 brings. Shout out to Blackjack, as always, my boy. You're doing a fantastic job. To everybody else who makes comments on my channel, either bad or good, I respect all of you, because you're getting me that money and those views and that interaction. I try and answer everybody back. If you can have sensible discussion. I see that Jack's got some new bars. He's calling me twat salute. I mean, I guess that took you all of 10 minutes to think of that, maybe 3. Another classic one was making, what was it people keep saying at the minute? The other one, Alex, I stole my name from a bottle of vodka Absolute. And it's like, actually, although I stated that was inspiration, Absolute vodka hasn't got an E on the end. So that makes no sense either. Also, when you're calling me saying I stole my name from somewhere, but actually you're named after a popular casino game, I can't help but feel irony. Yeah, other than that, though, everything's cool, peachy. Sorry to the people on my channel. I haven't responded to any of the comments. I've just looked on my phone, because the internet on my computer here, my editing station, kind of sucks. It's all right on my phone, but I just haven't responded to any comments. So hope you understand.
Alrighty. Matt, final thoughts, final comments?
First of all, thanks everybody. I appreciate it. I haven't done a live stream panel in quite some time, and man, Fernando, you threw this together quick. When you said, "Hey, I'd like to do a live stream," I'm like, "Okay, this is gonna be like a month." It was like 4 hours later. You're like, "I got a logo. Who wants to do the first one? Why don't you send this form out? We'll do this topics." I'm like, "Holy shit! Whoa, you're talking to Mr. Procrastinator here." But good job. I think it's a good first one. If anybody's watching Nuance, which is, you know what's funny? I've been commenting in my comment section as the Gyro Nation instead of as Nuance, which this is the first time for me to like try and manage 2 channels at the same time, and I think I just made my first 2-channel flub. I should be Nuance and Nuance and Gyro Nation and Gyro Nation. But I want to thank everybody.
3 channels.
Yeah. I want to thank everybody in my
browsers.
What?
Log them in on a browser, like you could log in on like Google Chrome as Gyro Nation and log in as Nuance.
Yeah, and then I have 2 of them.
Firefox.
And then they get an argument with each other.
Yeah, you can argue yourself. No.
Hey, Jayo,
People
you're a
never-
dick. No, you're not. You're a dick. Nuance. Anyways, thank you everybody in my comment section. It's been a really nice chat. I appreciate all y'all, and like, subscribe, share to the Nuance. Like, subscribe, share to everybody in here. And yeah, I have some really interesting videos. I'm gonna start making Chinese videos, like in Chinese. And we're going to give that a go. I'm going to do full on like 10-minute, 15-minute Chinese spoken word videos, because, you know, there is somebody out there that thinks my Chinese is shit. And I just want to prove him right, because my Chinese is shit. And you're going to hear it.
All right, guys. So let's wrap up this video. I want to thank everybody in the panel and all of you guys who are watching. Thank you so much for your attention. Also, invite you guys for next Wednesday. Yeah. Those of you who are viewing the replay or live, next Wednesday we're gonna have a different topic and perhaps different people. You know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the bell button to be notified whenever we have new videos. And that's it for tonight. Thank you so very, very much, everyone. And we'll see you, well, next week. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Ta-ra. Bye-bye, Jack.